Audio test 1, 2, 3. This is the facilitator Mike, just doing an audio test. Make sure that we have audio input, we have audio output going through our Zoom and YouTube platforms. Good morning to our attendees who are joining us on the virtual platform. I'm going to ask you that if you would like to make public comment or commentary on any of our agendized items, please raise your hand at this time. I'll ask you to unmute. Identify yourself for the record in which item you'd like to speak on, and I'll record that information, then we'll call upon you when we reach your item. Good morning, Audit LA.
Good morning, TJ. I would like to speak on what's Audit LA for the record, and I would like to speak on public comment in all items, please.
Very well. I have you down for public comment and multiple agenda item commentary.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and put you back on mute. Lower your hand.
Okay.
And if there's anyone else who is listening and would like to join us on the virtual platform and you'd like to offer public comment, please join, raise your hand, identify yourself. I'll ask you to unmute. You could identify yourself for the record in which item you'd like to speak on. And I'll record that information, then I'll call upon you when we reach your item. It is 9:46, and we should get started with the board meeting in approximately 14 minutes. Thank you. Good morning again to our attendees, city representatives, bureau executives, city attorney, commissioners, and members of the public who are joining us here in the board hearing room. If you're joining us here in the board hearing room and you'd like to offer public comment or commentary on any of our agendized items, please fill out a speaker card. They are located on a table in the back of the room. Please indicate which item you'd like to speak on and hand it to me. I'll record your information for the record, and then we'll call upon you when we reach your item. Good morning as well to our attendees who are joining us on the virtual platform. If you're joining us on the virtual platform and you'd like to offer public comment or commentary on our agendized items, please raise your hand. I'll ask you to unmute, identify yourself for the record and which item you'd like to speak on, and then we'll call upon you when we reach your item. Good morning, Georgina. You should be receiving a pop-up. Hi, Georgina.
I want to speak on all agenda items and public comment, please.
Very well. I have you down for public comment and multiple agenda item commentary.
Thank you, TJ.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and put you back on mute and lower your hand. Moving on to Mindy Rothstein-Mann. Mindy?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I would like to speak on item number 3.
Very well. I have you down for item 3. I'm going to go ahead and put you back on mute and lower your hand. Thank you, Mindy. Laura F.M. Anderson.
Good morning, TJ. I would
morning.
like to do general public comment and all items, please.
Thank you, Laura. I have you down for public comment and multiple agenda item commentary.
Thanks.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and put you back on mute and lower your hand. If there's anyone else who has not already done so, please raise your hand. And you'd like to offer commentary, please raise your hand. Identify yourself for the record and which item you'd like to speak on, and then we'll call upon you when we reach your item. And for those of you just joining us here in the hearing room, welcome. If you are a member of the public and you wish to offer commentary, please fill out a speaker card located in the back of the room. Indicate which item you'd like to speak on and hand it to me. I'll record that information, then we'll call upon you when we reach your item. It is 9:58 and we should get started with the board meeting in approximately 2 minutes. Thank you. Good morning, President King. We are now in record mode and ready to begin.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for Wednesday, February 11th, 2026. Mr. Knight, please take roll and establish quorum.
Thank you, President Kang, President Kang, Vice President Chavez, President Pro Tem Grant, Commissioner Mitchell, and Commissioner Cardenas are present. We do have a quorum. We are joined this morning by City Attorney Representative Virginia Choi. I'm TJ Knight, Assistant Executive Officer with the Board of Public Works. President Kang, we have 3 public commenters and 3 multiple agenda item commenters on the Zoom platform, as well as 1 single item commenter. And we have 1 public commenter and multiple agenda item commenter here in the hearing room. This morning, we have no neighborhood council commentary.
Thank you very much. Before we get started with general public comment, item number 5 will be continued to Friday, February 20th, 2026. Item number 5 will be continued to Friday, February 20th, 2026, and we will not be taking public comment on item number 5. With that, we will start with general public comment, which is an opportunity for the public to address the board on public interest items and will be provided up to 1 minute per person, up to a cumulative total of 10 minutes for the general public comment segment of each regular meeting. Testimony shall be limited in content to subject matters which are within the jurisdiction of the Board of Public Works. The board may not take any action on any matters discussed during the public comment period. We do have 1 in-person speaker this morning, so Jill, DOA Scientology.
All right, thank you. So I want to talk about the illegal takeover of the sidewalk and a lot of illegal graffiti activities citywide. Because a lot of those works have to the repair work and maintenance work, and all of those work has to be done by either department under the public works. So my concern is that those kind of issues, illegal behavior on the street, we have seen them for several decades, if not several centuries. But why that there's still no improvement? I think one of out of 100 reasons, it could be there's no consequences, there's no accountability. That's probably the reason why for people who vandalizing our street, who do that again, who do that again, who do that again. So I am here to propose a certain consequences for people who actually illegal, protesting on the sidewalk, illegal painting the street, illegal drawing, using the sidewalk as a trash can or something. There must be a consequence.
That's 1 minute, thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now transition to our virtual platform.
Thank you, President Kang. We'll go ahead and start with Audit LA, followed by Georgina. Audit LA, please unmute and you'll have 60 seconds to offer your commentary.
Good morning. I just wanted to see where we are in my request for an internal investigation for the event at the Shrine, where Scientology and Council District 9, LAPD, and BSS kind of work together to go against the rules of your permits. That they made it where they shut down sidewalks to local to access, except for locals, and Scientology is the one that checked whether or not they're locals. That is against your permit laws, and you need to please do an internal investigation of how that happened to make sure it never happens again. And it's Scientology again, just they don't want to follow any rules that are set by them. I am appreciative that the special event permits have gone down, but this was a special event permit that went haywire. It needs to be investigated. The CD9 needs to be investigated. Every entity that agreed to this needs to be investigated.
Thank you. That's 60 seconds. And we'll move next to Georgina, followed by Laura.
Thank you, TJ. Yeah, I want to know what is being done about the Shrine event also. I don't understand why you would allow this cult to violate the permits like you do, and yet you still continue to issue them new permits. You issued several permits after the violations they did on that permit. I don't understand why they are allowed to go unfined for their obstructions of the law. They ID'd people walking down a public sidewalk and allowed or disallowed public access to a public sidewalk, and yet you keep issuing them new permits. It makes no sense to me unless you are in cahoots with them. At very least, you're complicit with their crimes. Thank you. I yield back my time.
And we'll move next to Laura FM.
Good morning, board. So I also want to echo everybody that was talking about not allowing Scientology to get away with using city permits and city sidewalks and city streets to have an event which they had no reason, honestly, to have no reason to shut down sidewalks or streets. They only started doing this 3 years ago when I saw my father and I was yelling for him, and it was shown on camera that this is how the internal members are treated when they are disconnected from their own family members. So when there's protesters, that's what we're talking about. It's just people showing that there are people on the inside that are indentured servants that are working, and you guys are giving them these permits. So please stop allowing them to have any permits until you have a full investigation on why they use these permits. Because right now they're just recruitment tactics. They're just infiltrating the city into getting more and more infiltrated into the city so they can continue using their fake programs and their fake front groups to keep infiltrating and taking over people's human rights.
Thank you.
This is
That's 60 seconds. And President Kang, that concludes general public comment this morning.
Thank you very much. With that, we will close the general public comment portion of today's meeting and move forward with multiple agenda item public comment. The board will provide an opportunity for members of the public wishing to speak on more than one agenda item during multiple agenda item comment period for up to a minute per item, up to a total of 3 minutes per meeting. This is the only time to speak on more than one agenda item, and please identify the items that you will speak on when you are called. We will start with Jojo, DOA Scientology.
Thank you. I will do 3, 4, 7. So start with 3. On the item number 3, stop point, item number 4, it says the remove 17 protected trees and shrubs. That is one of my concern because I just always believe that we need to support our environment. We need to be environmentally conscious that we have tried to have like every effort possible to save more trees, not remove more trees. But I also that compared to the 100 major cities in the United States, when president, if you can take a look at the air quality ranking, Los Angeles is not even top 50. Why is that? We have so many car exhaust business, whatever, air pollution. And then number 2, we do not have enough trees. Now let's move on to item number 4. Item number 4, sub point number 4 is also similar to item number 3. It says remove of 4 trees to allow the reconstruction of the curb access to a defective sidewalk. I'm not an expert professional. I'm not an expert in this area, but can we figure out a way to repair our sidewalk without removing the tree? I believe it must be some sort of alternative plan. I do not believe that repair a sidewalk must be on top of remove several trees. I don't believe these two must be together. I believe they can be separated. We can protect the trees, at the same time we can repair the sidewalk. But again, I'm just saying that I'm not the subject expert in this issue. But what I'm just seeing, a lot of illegal protesters are damaging the trees, are damaging the street. That's big no-no. Item number 7 is about disaster recovery services. I am in support of this because we have the fire disaster, and then we have the COVID disaster. We have, in the future, we're gonna have another, water-related, rainstorm-related, whatever kind of disaster, earthquake, you name it. So I'm here to support the disaster recovery services. But the only problem is that disaster recovery services citywide has been so slow. regardless, you're talking about the LAPD department, the fire department, the mayor's office, the city council. Everyone's complained about, every department has a disaster program, but every department is taking forever to implement those disaster programs. And hopefully we can stop those illegal protesting on the city of Los Angeles.
Thank you very much. With that, we will transition to our virtual platform.
Thank you, President Kang. We'll start with Audit LA and then go to Georgina. Audit LA, please unmute. You have 3 minutes to offer your multiple agenda item commentary. Please indicate which item you'll be commenting on.
The final one, I think it's 8, about contracts. I just want to remind you that the guards on L. Ron Hubbard Way, they are taking over that street as if they have a city contract to do so. They do not. If you want to offer them the process to get a contract, I hope you wouldn't, but without that, they need to stop telling people and sending people away and intimidating. They are absolutely intimidating anybody that they don't want on their street, and they have no right to do that. As far as other contracts, they also, if you look into it with building services, you guys should be working together. Really, you guys, because I know they're inside property or outside the property, but you guys should be comparing notes and really realizing what the other entity is doing. Because they were working on tunnels, they built a thing on top of their roof. They working on piping and electrics, and their tower, all these things without permits. It's not until, and they have been fined for this stuff, and without permits and without any kind of contract, anything, okay, and putting their own workers at risk without the proper equipment, not using proper type of entities. And so you guys need to be careful with this. You guys really need to work together when it comes to contracts and permits for the whole thing, because it's an absolute disaster how in every way imaginable, they will not abide by the rules for anything. Even with, how they treat their people, I would think it's illegal to have a prison system inside, without due process and stuff. This every legal way they don't do it. So please work with the other entities so you guys can be mindful. Like I suggest the same to building and safety. They need to work with you guys to see how they, they are illegal with all of their processes with you, and work together. They need to be put in check. They need to be law abiding like any other entity. And they've been overgrown like an overgrown weed that needs, to be put in check. As far as tree removals, I don't remember the number, but I also want to remind you that the trees, because of their excessive water, they let out like 100,000 gallons of water. It ruined the soil. I've been asking for you guys to check that out. It ruined the sidewalk completely. But it's also, they have these huge trees, and I love trees. I agree with the previous speaker that we need more trees, and we had to be very careful about removing trees. And I believe if we remove trees, we need to replace those trees. But these trees here, the roots are so big, there's no way you can fix all of this. And I also want to remind you that one of the trees, they had bees, and I don't know if the city did it or Scientology did it, but they just closed in this live bee. We need our bees too. And to just close them in and cement them in is, in my opinion, animal cruelty. I'm
you.
sensitive to animals, including bees.
That's
Thank
3
you.
minutes, and we'll move next to Georgina, followed by Laura.
Hi, thank you. I want to start with the minutes. I'm really encouraged that you guys are trying to do something to fix the minutes. I hope you make an effort, or not just an effort, I hope you attach the public comments to the minutes. Your YouTube channel has the exact same title for thousands of different videos. Do you think you could do better? I think you could. I think you could just add the date to those titles, and it would make those videos researchable instead of all being exactly named the same thing. It's a really easy fix. We don't even expect you to go back retroactively and do it, but you could do it from today on and make those videos accessible to everyone. Moving on to agenda item number 3 and 4 with the trees. I hope that when you take these trees down, should you do that, that you replace them with native trees. We have enough palm trees. Palm trees are not native to California. We need to have we need to bolster our native flora and fauna. And what happened to the bees was horrible. It was horrible. It's animal abuse. It shouldn't be allowed. There was no reason to get rid of those bees. Those bees hadn't even stung anyone. And I was a witness to the 48 hours of water going off at the Scientology building on Fountain, destroying those sidewalks, and water just pouring into the gutter for hours and hours. I called and complained. Nothing was done about it. Nothing's ever done about anything we call and complain about with this cult. You can call it a church if you want, but considering the fact that they don't let their members leave freely, that makes it a cult. It's dangerous. It's a dangerous situation. Moving on to street services and the contracts, number 7. You are robbing the citizens of this city from being able to place bids, make money, have their businesses thrive by allowing this slave labor to do the work for free on Fountain and on L. Ron Hubbard Boulevard. That's taking food out of people's mouths by not using valid contracts and workers to do that work. It's a OSHA violation. They aren't insured. They aren't paid. It's huge that this is happening and that you allow it to go. Thank you. I yield back my time.
And next we have Laura FM. Laura FM, please identify which item you're speaking on, and you'll have up to 3 minutes to make your multiple agenda item commentary.
I'm going to do minutes, and I'm going to speak on number 3 and 4 as well, and number 7.
Go ahead.
So I'm going to just go to 4 right now. The tree removal on North St. Andrews Place and Fountain Avenue. I want to also make it a note on the public record that work is done by the city, and so it should also be done the same way on Fountain, just further down the street where the blue buildings are, as you call it, the Scientology buildings, where they have indentured slaves literally cutting the palms and doing the tree work and pulling in, the forklifts that do all the work. Those are indentured servants, but nobody's going and doing the investigation, and that's what we're asking is while these trees are being trimmed, who's specifically doing the work? Is it the city doing the work when it comes to the blue buildings and the Scientology buildings, or is it the indentured servants doing it? Because at a certain point, there's a mix between church and state. If you have indentured servants that are literally making $47 a week, they don't have proper health care, they don't have proper medical insurance. So if something does happen, who is at fault? Is it the church or is it the city? Because they're using Scientology's own equipment. They're using non-city approved equipment. So if they roll in with a forklift and all of a sudden the forklift falls on somebody while they're trimming these trees that they aren't permitted for while they're doing it, it crosses a big line. So there should be a very big investigation done, at least to be like, okay, there's a thin line between somebody getting hurt and you're supporting slavery. And so any Scientologist working, like we've been saying, on city sidewalks or city streets or trimming the trees needs to be making more than $47 a week, and they need to be being paid by the city or on a payroll that's actually legit, not a cult Scientology Sea Org payroll. That goes for everything. And then again, on the minutes, if you guys are able to, like the other person said, put it on the YouTube when you're doing it on YouTube, so that again, we can see the date and the time and what the meeting is about. Whether there's repetitive or not, it's easy for people to later see it in a legal form when we're calling in and we're requesting you to stop giving Scientology permits for any reason whatsoever. This is what we're asking, why we're asking. It doesn't matter if it feels important to you guys or not. It's a legal matter for us, where we're going to show that we've represented represented and said this over 3 years to stop giving Scientology permits. So please put that on the minutes. And therefore, when we do sue the city or we do bring it to a court case, we're able to
And that's
represent
3
that we
minutes. Thank
did
you.
tell.
Thank you. And that concludes multiple agenda item commentary, President Kane.
Thank you very much. With that, we will close the multiple item public comment portion of today's meeting and move forward with the approval of minutes for Friday, January 30th, 2026. Commissioners, any questions or comments? Seeing no other discussion, is there a first and a second?
So move.
First by President Pro Tem Grant, seconded by Commissioner Mitchell.
Thank you, President Kane. We'll take a roll call vote on approval of minutes, starting with you, President Kane,
Aye.
Vice President Chavez,
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant,
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell, and Commissioner Cardenas.
Aye.
All ayes, and this item is approved unanimous.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 1, bids. We're going to be opening for the Los Angeles Riverway West San Fernando Valley Completion Project, Van Alden Avenue to Balboa Boulevard.
Thank you, President Kane. And I'm joined this morning by Matthew Castellanos. If you could come and take a seat at the table, we'll go ahead and proceed with bid opening for item 1. Thank you. And the first bid for item 1 is from Environmental Construction Incorporated. Environmental Construction Incorporated's total bid amount is $103,615,968. $103,615,968. Thank you, Matthew. And the second bid is from Griffith Company. Griffith Company's total bid amount is $92,497,500. $92,497,500. And that concludes today's bid opening for item 1.
Thank you very much. I'll move to accept the bids. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Cardenas.
Thank you, President Kang. We'll take a roll call vote on approval of item 1, starting with you, President Kang.
Aye.
Vice President Chavez.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant.
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell and Commissioner Cardenas.
Aye.
All ayes, and item 1 is received, open, and declared forthwith.
Thank you very much. Number 2 is on consent. Authorization to advertise for the invitation of bids in Council District 2 for the Valley Plaza Park North Stormwater Capture Project. I'll move. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Mitchell.
Thank you, President Kang. We'll take a roll call vote on approval of item 1, starting with you, President Kang.
Aye.
Vice President Chavez.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant.
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell and Commissioner Cardenas.
Aye.
All ayes, and item 1 is adopted and will move forward forthwith.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 3 from the Bureau of Street Services in Council District 5, tree removal at 9966 West Lieb Street Drive.
And if I may interrupt, we do have a number of speakers both in the hearing room and online. President Kang, it's your discretion whether to take these commenters after the staff report or at this time.
Yes, so we'll take public comment after our staff report. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Honorable Board of Public Works. Brian Ramirez with Streets LA, bringing before you a request for this board to approve a permit to remove 17 protected trees, which include 15 Coast Live Oak, 1 Southern California Black Walnut, and 1 Toyon shrub for required grading that's needed for the construction of a new single-family dwelling. The applicant is currently proposing to demolish a single-story single-family dwelling and replace it with a new 3-story, 4,217 square foot single-family dwelling. The project is located at 9966 West Lieb Drive and is within the Bel Air Beverly Crest Neighborhood Council community within Council District number 5. There are currently 18 protected trees on site, of which 17 are being proposed for removal. A protected tree report was submitted to Streets LA for review. Streets LA arborist inspected the subject location and concur that the 17 protected trees and shrubs would require removal in order to allow for the construction of the single-family dwelling and comply with the grading requirements that are associated with it. According to the applicant, the Los Angeles Department of Building and Safety requires slope remediation with retaining walls and significant grading in order to comply with current building codes and grading requirements. Streets LA does attempt to preserve healthy, mature trees whenever possible. However, the impact was unavoidable for 17 of the 18 protected trees and shrubs on site. And again, this is due to the required slope remediation, bringing that excessive slope back into the building code compliance. The applicant, as part of the condition, if this board approves, the applicant shall replace the trees in kind. The applicant will be planting 4 Southern California black walnut, 4 Toyon, and 60 coast live oak trees on site to replace the removed trees. And the survival of the replacement trees will be guaranteed by bond for a period of 3 years. And the applicant shall be responsible to ensure that the tree and shrub removals, tree replacement conditions are in compliance. And as a follow-up, Streets LA, as we do with every other project, we will make arrangements to visit the site and approve the trees once they are replaced, initiating that 3-year survival period. And as more context, we will also do the final inspection at the end to release the bond if the trees survive. As far as the California Environmental Quality Act, this project is exempt from CEQA pursuant to Article 19, Section 15303, Class 3 of that code, and there is no substantial evidence that the proposed project will have a significant effect on the environment. With the transmittals in this report, we included the Meridian Consultant report, which provided findings in support of that categorical exemption. As far as notifications, the 5th Council District was informed of the tree removal permit request in May of 2025. The Streets LA website was also updated, notifying the public of the removals, and to this date, the council office did not raise any objections to the project. With this, I conclude my report, and I'm more than happy to take any questions that the board may have.
Thank you very much. With that, we'll take single item public comment. So we'll start with in-person speakers. First up, we have Chris Parker.
Good morning. I'm Chris Parker, Pacific Crest Consultants CEO. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I want to thank Brian and the staff of Urban Forestry for the professional manner they treated us in this application through this lengthy process. I'm here to officially say we have no objections to any of the conditions that have been proposed. I also am here to say Pacific Crest Consultants, our primary role is permitting in the city of Los Angeles, especially estate homes in hillside areas. We're very aware and advise our clients as often as we can to avoid removing any protected trees. I have been here before you a couple of occasions. Most of the time we're able to mitigate or to get it down. Unfortunately, as Brian said, but I'm going to flip it. It's not the house that's the reason why we have to remove these trees and mitigate the slope. It's the slope itself. The slope is dangerous. It's non-conforming. It was done, and we have professionals, licensed professionals, who will explain more further after me. But the house, our client can't do anything to his house without doing fixing the slope. And we can't fix the slope without removing the trees.
Thank you. That's 60
Thank you very much.
And we'll bring you back up after we hear from the members of the public.
Excuse me, is he the applicant? Are you the
Yes, but
applicant,
we're going to
sir?
have the applicant after public comment so that he can address the comments.
Are you the
I'm the applicant's rep. I mean, the homeowners here.
Okay, but you're appearing on behalf of the,
Yeah,
The
my
homeowners.
firm is the one who filed the application.
they don't have a restriction.
I understand. I'm going to bring them back up after we hear from public comment.
Okay.
You all filled out 1-minute speaker cards.
They know
That's
they're on
why,
1 minute.
you know.
I
yes.
thought I had a little more time. I'm happy to.
So does Richard Glasson want a minute public comment, or would you like to come up afterwards?
Versus regular public member.
Good morning. I'm Richard Gladson. I'm the project geologist. I'm an engineering geologist for geosystems. And I guess the main point I want to make is that the slope in question is an oversteepened cut slope that was done in the late 1950s before current building codes. And it's dangerous. It's too steep. It's subject to stability. It has a history of stability problems, and it needs to be mitigated. And the only way to mitigate it, unfortunately, is to lose the trees. So that's really the most important thing. Do you have any questions?
Thank you. Stephen Edwards, if you want to provide 1 minute, or we'll call you up after. Let me call you up after. George Turter.
Honorable Board of Public Works, good afternoon. My name is George Jordan, representing the applicant for 9966 West Leib Drive. First, we want to thank Urban Forestry staff for their diligence and professionalism in reviewing this site. We understand the seriousness of removing protected trees and do not take that lightly. Although the site may appear gentle from the street, it is not a flat lot. It contains, as the geologist said, a non-conforming slope condition that requires significant remediation, retaining and grading to meet current safety and building standards. As the staff report explains, that required work impacts the root zones of 17 of the 18 protected trees, making removal unavoidable regardless of the size of any proposed residence. We accept the extensive conditions and replacement requirements, even though they add significant cost, and we are committed to full compliance and successful tree replacement. For these reasons, we respectfully ask the board to approve the staff recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have Mark Griffin. Marcus. Yes. Sorry, I couldn't read your handwriting.
Yeah, apologies for that. I'm Margaret Griffin. I'm with Griffin Enright Architects. I'm the architect for the project. I just want to make a few comments. One is that the issue with stabilizing the hillside is that it's steeper than 2 to 1. And so in order to stabilize it, we would have to fill it in with dirt, and then that would bury the trees, and that's why they would die. I also want to say that the new house is only 2 stories, but it does have a partial basement. It's closer to the street than the original footprint was, so it's not like on purpose close to the hillside, and the footprint is no bigger than the original house. I think overall the ecology will be enhanced because we'll have 4 times the habitat in the end, and the trees will be sprinklered, and they're native species, so eventually they don't need watering, which is one of the benefits. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Mr. Knight, let's transition to our virtual platform.
Thank you, President Kang. And we have one speaker on item 3, Mindy Rothstein.
Yes,
Go ahead.
good morning. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. You mentioned that nobody was here from the Neighborhood Council. I am indeed from Neighborhood Council. I'm speaking on behalf of the Planning and Land Use Committee from the Bel Air Beverly Crest Neighborhood Council. I'm also on the board of the Benedict Canyon Association, and both groups are opposed to this proposed plan. We are opposed to it on the grounds that too many trees are being removed, too many protected trees. We believe that an alternative method should be explored to provide the same safety factors required by LADBS grading division to achieve slope stability. We also object to the plan on the basis that the replanting plan on the upper slope is ecologically unsound, and we hope that you will end up rejecting this plan and sending it back for a revised plan. I appreciate all the work that has gone into this, and we know that indeed that the slope is unsafe at this point. However, on our PLU committee, we have a biologist.
Thank you, Mindy.
We have people with a lot of experience who have been in.
Thank you, Mindy. That's 60 seconds. And just for the record, I have received both Mindy Rothstein-Mann's public comments submitted on the Google form, as well as Marianne King's. I'm going to go ahead and put you back on mute, Mindy. So you're allowed 60 seconds as a public commenter, and I have not received a community impact statement from your neighborhood council. Just to repeat myself, I received two public comments via the Google form, which can be found, the link can be found on the board's agendas. The first is from Mindy Rothstein-Mann, and the second is from Marianne King. Those comments have been distributed to all commissioners. And that concludes the item 3 commenters on the virtual platform, President Kane.
Thank you very much. So I want to ask Mr. Chris Parker to come back up. So the board, as you heard from our public comment, has also received written communication about sort of the removal of these trees and the potential plan. So if you could address some of that in your remarks, we would appreciate it.
Happy to. I do believe there's a misperception for the letter writers that we saw about the condition of the lot. As Margaret just mentioned at the end, when you're on the street at the beginning, the first third of this lot looks like it's flat. It looks like you could have an airplane runway if you wanted to. It's not that way at all. It's the back 2/3, and it's the back 2/3 where all of these trees happen to be, and those trees happen to be on this unstable slope. If we allowed Richard to speak more, he would tell you that, as he mentioned, in the 1950s, when these lots were cut, the builders were allowed to just dump the dirt, and then things grew. Homeowners planted trees, but they were on an unstable slope. So we are providing the mitigation that's required. We're not asking for any kind of break for that. I think that Margaret also made a good point that when this is all done, we'll actually create a better local environment because there will be more trees in this area, less crud, and more and trees that are native as opposed to whatever was planted by previous owners that's around these protected trees. If you haven't been on the lot, you don't realize how quickly that slope comes and then how much it dominates the back 2/3 of the lot.
Thank you very much. Did you want to bring up any of your team members for any other explanation?
We do have the arborist here if you have any questions for him, but I would say that we're available now just for any further questions.
Okay.
So,
Since the applicant is up here, commissioners, any questions or comments related to this application? President Pro Tem Grant.
There are two issues that were raised that I think have been answered by you, but one was, given the number of trees that'll be replaced, one is, and the slope, will they be watered? But I did understand, I guess you're going to provide a sprinkler system irrigation. And the second one was, were there too many trees put in and they won't be able to thrive because of the density?
Brian could probably talk to you about the science behind it, but I will say in part of the whole, we've been talking with urban forestry a long time. We had a lot of options for what's the best way to put these trees. And with Stephen, our arborist, with Brian and his experts at urban forestry, we believe that we have the right amount of trees in the right location so they won't choke each other out, so that they'll grow to be a good grove. But that's a really good question. I wouldn't have thought of that at the beginning of this project, but I was amazed at how much we had to talk about where exactly are these trees being planted.
I can follow that up with, on the record within the transmittals, we did include some of the previous iterations of the planting that was being proposed. And we added that on purpose to show really that the Urban Forestry Division really tried to work with the planting plan, ensuring that we had the best recommendation before you today. Some of the previous iterations didn't provide optimal space for these trees, but what we bring before you currently provides a plan that has adequate spacing for the trees. We see with the satellite imagery, there's no obstructions at any side of the lot, on top of the lot. So the chance that these trees will thrive is it's good prognosis for them. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments from the board? In terms of the site plan, I do have one. I'm sure you all explored a slew of different options, but in terms of preserving as much trees as possible, what was sort of the thought process behind that in terms of the current site plan that you all adopted?
Yeah, the current site plan, unfortunately, the protected tree removals and those species are towards the front portion of the lot where that grading is taking place. And really the extent of the grading, why only one tree was able to be preserved, within the images of the tree report, you can clearly see the reason why that walnut is being preserved is because the slope is not so steep, which is why the grading is not required within that section. Everything else required that grading. These trees were directly within the footprint of that grading. But as far as the vegetation and the reason for a space between there, some of the largest vegetation, I would call it, is like shrubs and kind of chaparral type shrubs. Per the applicant, with discussions with them, they conveyed that they really wanted to keep intact some of that native vegetation instead of pretty much wiping everything out to replant trees uniformly. They opted to preserve that, again, to keep some of that native vegetation. Could we have adopted a plan where there's a little bit more space to the trees? We could have, but then that would have required the applicant to pretty much remove every single shrub and plant from the site. So they really seemed very thoughtful with that approach.
Thank you. Board members, are there any other questions or comments on this item? All right, seeing no other discussion, is there a first and a second?
So moved.
Second.
First by Commissioner Mitchell and seconded by Commissioner Cardenas.
Thank you, President Kang. We'll take a roll call vote on approval of item 3, starting with you, President Kang.
Aye.
Vice President Chavez.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant.
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell and Commissioner Cardenas.
Aye.
All ayes, and this item is adopted, subject to conditions, and will move forward forthwith.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 4 in Council District 13, tree removal at 1559 North St. Andrews Place and 5501 West Fountain Avenue.
Honorable Board, we have another item before you. It's another tree removal. This one is for the requesting the approval for a fee permit to remove 4 street trees, which include 2 camphor trees and 2 carob trees. This one, the purpose of this one is for an affordable housing and sustainable communities, or AHSC, and transportation related amenities, and tree replacements are also required for this project. The requester, or the request, is really originating from the Bureau of Engineering, and they are managing the design and construction of this AHSC Round 3 Path Villas sustainable transportation infrastructure and related amenities improvements within the Path Villas Hollywood. Really, the project consists of multiple different elements. I'll name some of them here. It includes things such as upgraded sidewalks, curb ramps, bike-friendly striping, signage, bike lanes, bus shelters, street lights, and additional street trees. And based on the project scope and plans, the project will unfortunately impact some of the existing street trees to allow for these improvements in multiple locations throughout that neighborhood. The Streets LA arborists met with BOE representatives in March of 2024 to verify and address the potential impacts to any street trees. And unfortunately, it was determined that 4 trees growing within the public right-of-way would require removal, as they would be severely impacted by those proposed improvements. To get into the details, the 2 camphor trees that are being proposed for removal are in poor condition. One of the camphors requires removal as it is directly within the footprint of a curb access ramp that needs to be installed. And the other camphor tree is showing signs of decay with an existing cavity at the base. The inspector within the pictures took recommendations and actually probed within that root flare, and it was displaying a cavity. These trees are not suitable candidates for preservation, which is why the recommendation before you is to remove those 2 camphor trees. again, one for the curb access ramp and the other for sidewalk repair and that decay that it had. The two other carob trees, two carob trees at 5501 West Fountain Avenue, these are in even poorer condition, if I can say. One of these carob trees displays fungal fruiting bodies that is indicating internal decay. And another one of these is showing a 29-inch deep cavity, indicating just a hollow trunk base. And these trees need to be removed for the interest of public safety as these construction repairs take place. With that, as for the alternatives that we explored, we definitely sought to preserve as many trees as we could. And I just want to highlight here that 31 other trees within the scope of the project are being preserved in place throughout construction. So out of the 35 trees, 4 are being removed, but 31 are being preserved. As part of the condition, the Bureau of Engineering shall plant a minimum of 21 24-inch box size trees throughout the project, and the Bureau of Engineering contract forces will be watering these trees for a period of 3 years. I want to emphasize also that they went above the board's policy at a 2-to-1 because they are installing and improving trees wherever possible. As far as the California Environmental Quality Act, the BOE prepared the notice of exemption and found that the project was categorically exempt pursuant to Article 3, Section 1, Class 3 of the CEQA guidelines. As far as notifications for the public, the 13th Council District was informed of the removal request. The inspectors went out and physically posted signs on the trees notifying the community that the trees were going to be brought before the board for consideration of removal. And then we also updated our webpage informing the public. With that, I conclude my presentation, and I'm more than happy to take your questions at this time.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, any questions or comments on this item? Commissioner Cardenas.
Yeah, I don't know if I missed it. Was there any comment from the council district?
There was no comment.
Oh.
And I do appreciate, I know you mentioned the Bureau's efforts to go above and beyond and planting additional trees as well as preserving as much trees as possible. So very much appreciated on that. Since seeing no other discussion, is there a first and a second?
So move.
First by President Pro Tem Grant, seconded by Commissioner Mitchell.
Thank you, President Kang. We'll take a roll call vote on approval of item 4, starting with you, President Kang.
Aye.
Vice President Chavez.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant.
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell and Commissioner Cardenas.
Aye.
All ayes, and item 4 is adopted and will move forward forthwith.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item number 5 has been continued to Friday, February 20th, 2026. Moving on to item number 6 in Council District 7, contract award for Access Pacific, Inc.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is George Huang from the Bureau of Engineering Street Improvement Division. I'm the senior engineer in the division. The item before you is to award a construction contract to Access Pacific for the Maclay Street reconfiguration project. Maclay Street consists of 2 lanes in each direction, and it bottlenecks around that intersection. So this project is to mitigate and that traffic congestion that occurs at this intersection. The Bureau of Engineering has been designing this project in support with the Council District number 7. They really helped us push this project because of to help resolve this the traffic congestion here. And with that, I'm going to transition to Aman, who's our project engineer, to talk about the bid process and the selection process for this contractor. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Aman Malik with the Bureau of Engineering. I'm a project manager in the Street Improvement Division. As George mentioned, this project is located in Council District 7 along Maclay Street, between Gladstone Avenue and Hunwa Avenue. The purpose of this project is to ease traffic congestion along this segment of Maclay Street. In addition, the absence of a sidewalk forces pedestrians to walk within a narrow vehicle travel lane, creating safety concerns. The scope of work includes widening Maclay Street, design build of a new retaining wall, constructing new sidewalk, curb and gutter, asphalt concrete pavement, 4 new curb ramps, relocation of an existing power pole, installation of a new street light, and new pavement striping. The project was advertised on August 13, 2025, with the city engineer's estimate of $2,760,183. 3 bids were received on September 24, 2025, from Access Pacific, HZS Engineering, and Geronimo Concrete. The project was bid with 2 categories of bid items. The first category, total base bid, includes bid items numbers 1 through 63. The second category, additive alternate bid items, includes bid items numbers 64 through 80. Additive alternate bid items are components of a construction contract that allow the city to add work to the base contract using pre-established pricing if funding is available. The base scope includes street widening, 3 curb ramps, and the retaining wall. The additive alternative includes reconstruction of the remaining curb ramp and the northeast corner. The bid package stated that the award of the contract would be based on the total base bid amount without the additive bid items. The lowest responsive and responsible bidder, Access Pacific, submitted a total bid amount of $1,698,810, which is approximately 33% below the city engineer's estimate. BOE confirmed to award Access Pacific's total alternative bid amount of $313,991. This would bring the total bid amount to $2,012,801, which is 27% below the city engineer's estimate. The project was advertised with a mandatory subcontracting minimum requirement of 20%. The lowest bidder committed to 20.09% small business enterprise participation and 17.64% emerging business enterprise participation. The project is locally funded through the Capital and Technology Improvement Expenditure Program with Senate Bill 1 funds, along with additional funding from Council District 7 AB 1290 funds. Based on this information, the BOE recommends that the board award the construction contract to the lowest responsible bidder, Access Pacific. This concludes my presentation. I'm available to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, any questions or comments? I know this is a much needed project in this part of the community. I know there's widespread support on it. So glad to see this coming before the board. Seeing no other discussion, is there a first and a second?
So move. Second.
A first by President Pro Tem Grant, seconded by Commissioner Mitchell.
Thank you, President Kang. We'll take a roll call vote on approval of item 6, starting with you, President Kang.
Aye.
Vice President Chavez.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant.
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell. And Commissioner Cardenas.
Aye.
All ayes, and item 6 is adopted and will move forward forthwith.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 7, requests for proposals for disaster recovery services.
Good morning, Commissioners, representatives, and staff. Martha Iñiguez, representing the Bureau of Street Services, for the request to advertise the RFP for disaster recovery services. Following the January 2025 fire and wind disaster in the Palisades area, and pursuant to Mayor's Executive Order 1, Streets LA amended the Clean Harbors contract to align with the city attorney's recommendations and FEMA reimbursement requirements. Amendment number 1, which was limited to a 1-year term ending January 21st of 2026, was created to incorporate prevailing wages and to raise the contract ceiling from $10 million to $25 million. Streets LA now seeks board approval to issue an RFP to create a longer term contracts dedicated to disaster cleanup and recovery. The extent of the remaining work in the Palisades area is uncertain. Additional damage may emerge as rebuilding progresses. It is anticipated that nearly all streets in the burn area will likely require repaving due to heavy construction and Army Corps engineers' equipment, and significant tree and concrete restoration will be needed. A comprehensive damage assessment and cost estimate for all work needed in the Palisades area has not been completed, and it is unlikely FEMA will cover any damage unrelated to the fire, such as the road deterioration caused by the heavy equipment. The RFP encompasses multiple service categories, and we anticipate awarding contracts to a broad range of contractors. The scopes of work include debris removal, waste management, hazardous waste cleanup, and restorative measures such as street sweeping, hazardous tree removal, soil testing, flood prevention, erosion control, and road repair. Although initially focused on the Palisades recovery, these contracts will be available for disaster response throughout the city. The resultant contracts created from this RFP will have a one-year term with 2 one-year renewal options, making that a total of up to 3 years, and a cost ceiling of $10 million. Additionally, though the business inclusion program was waived in January of 2025 for this RFP, because it would be difficult to identify and select subcontractors, since this work will be determined as needed. Contractors will be encouraged to utilize MBE, WBE, SBE, EBE, and DVBE subcontractors where feasible. In the interim, to continue our recovery efforts in the Palisades area while we process this RFP, Streets LA is drafting a second amendment to the Clean Harbors contract to extend the term by 1 year to January 21st of 2027 and add 2 subcontractors and increase the ceiling by 5 to 10 million for a total of 30 to 35 million. We anticipate bringing the second amendment to the board in approximately a month or so. That concludes my report. I can answer your questions if you have any.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, any questions or comments? Commissioner Mitchell.
Thank you for your report. As we discussed in our briefing, 10 million is probably not enough given the type of disasters that we had in the last year. So either we're going to come back and do an amendment or at least consult with the city attorney's office to see if there, and whoever else we need to talk to see if there can be that threshold raised. Because as we know with this, especially with the waste issues and Clean Harbors had to do, like even our demonstrations last summer for ICE, we had to call Clean Harbors out for the Waymo batteries before we could haul away the carcass. So I don't know what that cost, so to speak, but I would be concerned that we're not putting enough in the contract to cover what we think we might encounter. So
yes. We originally anticipated about 5 million. After our conversations with you and other commissioners, we wanted to raise it to 10 million and possibly higher. We are speaking to city attorney to get their response about our inquiry to raise it.
Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions? I know this is very timely for the city of Los Angeles. With that, is there a first and a second?
Second.
First by Commissioner Mitchell, seconded by Commissioner Cardenas.
Thank you, President Kang. We'll take a roll call vote on approval of item 7, starting with you, President Kang,
Aye.
Vice President Chavez,
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant,
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell, and Commissioner Cardenas.
Aye.
All ayes, and item 7 is adopted and will move forward forthwith.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Moving on to our last item, number 8, from the Bureau of Engineering, Construction Services Contract Update.
Good morning. My name is Ethan Wong. I'm with the Bureau of Engineering, Environmental Engineering Division. We are going to provide a biannual summary of our construction services contracts, also known as our Cisco contracts. So the purpose of these contracts is basically to do smaller CIP or capital improvement projects at our wastewater treatment plants and other wastewater facilities. The work can also happen outside of the plants, so there is some flexibility with our Cisco contracts, but primarily the work all occurs within our 4 wastewater treatment plants that the city owns and operates. So there are 3 active Cisco contracts. We try to issue a new Cisco contract every 3 years. The original term of the contract when we do issue it is 3 years. And so the project is an open bid system, and when it is advertised, so we do get a variety of contractors that do bid on this work. How it differs from a normal construction project is there isn't explicit scope. We do put out general scope as far as qualifications and the type of work that will be issued under the Cisco contracts, which is primarily under the wastewater treatment facilities. So those contractors that do bid on the contracts do have to have experience in working at our plants and on similar facilities such as that. The projects that are issued under Cisco do range in dollar size, but are typically of the what we would call the smaller scale. So we do have projects that are of a few $1,000s that are for exploratory work on a project. And then we do have larger projects that are, in the couple $1 million range, but usually not over $3 million. The projects that are over $150,000 do come forward individually to the Board of Public Works to be approved, to be added to the Cisco contracts. And I'll give a brief summary of where we are currently. We are currently, as I mentioned previously, still managing 3 Cisco contracts. The first is Cisco 11, and the 11 stands for the 11th iteration of the contract. So the Cisco 11 contract was awarded in August of 2019 to Murray Company for a total contract ceiling of $15 million. To date, $14.6 million has been expended from that. So there is roughly just over $300,000 left remaining in that contract ceiling. There are 2 active construction projects still ongoing, and that's why we're still reporting on this contract. We aren't issuing any new work under this specific Cisco contract, but there are 2 projects that are still active and have been delayed in the construction phase. We've come to an agreement with Murray Company to extend this contract. That's why it's still ongoing. So highlighting those 2 projects, they're noted on as projects 12 and 13, the Hyperion Digester Gas Mixing Demonstration Project, as well as the Air Treatment Facility, ESIS, Mission and Jesse's expansion. The Air Treatment Facility project will be wrapping up soon. We have found resolution to the delays on that project, and we will be closing that project shortly. The Digester Gas Mixing Demonstration Facility has experienced several delays due to impacts from flooding due to heavy rains back in February of 2024. And during that time, we also discovered heavy corrosion on the steel shell of the digester. So we are currently, we've initiated a emergency contract to repair that corrosion. So that work is ongoing and is has to be done before we can move on with the demonstration project. So that project will hold or is on hold currently. And one of the beauties of the Cisco contract is we aren't incurring overhead for these delays. The contractor, Murray Company, is deployed on site, and that is per the terms, and they've agreed to stay on until that project has been completed. Cisco 12, which is the 12th iteration of the contract, was originally awarded by the board in April of 2022. This also was awarded to Murray Company for $15 million. We did request a $10 million increase to this contract, so the total ceiling is now $25 million. To date, the expenditures on that project are $22.4 million. So leaving about $2.6 million left on this contract yet to be spent. There are still 11 projects in construction that we are working on. Just wanted to highlight, going back to the Cisco 11, I forgot to mention our BIP utilization. For Cisco 11, we had anticipated utilization for MBEs of 8%. The actual utilization is 12.6%, so there's a positive delta of 4.6% for that. For our WBE, expected percentage was 2%. Murray Company actually met that and exceeded it and has 2.7%. For SBEs, there was an expected utilization of 15%. Murray Company exceeded that in a pretty big regard in this contract at 29.1%. For EBEs, the expected utilization was 1%, and again, Murray Company exceeded that at 13.3%. And for DVBEs, there was a utilization of 1%. They were unfortunately were able to meet that amount, and they're at 0.3% because that subcontractor actually went out of business, so they weren't able to meet that percentage. You'll note for Cisco 12, the participation hasn't been as great, but there is still time and some dollar value left in the contract to hopefully increase the percentages. We also did increase the expected pledges for the small business enterprises, the SBEs, the emerging business enterprises, the EBEs, and the DVBEs. So the anticipated utilization for Cisco 12 was 8% for the MBEs, same as Cisco 11. To date, we only have 3.8% actual utilization. For WBEs, the expected percentage was 2%. Murray Company has exceeded that at 3.8%. Or for small business enterprises, the anticipated level was 20%. We're currently at 12.8%. EBEs are expected at 8% and are currently at 3.1%. And for the DVBEs, the anticipated level was 3%. They're at 0.1%. So unfortunately, there is a negative deviation on this contract. As I noted before, the contractor isn't aware of the projects as they bid on the projects, so they do their best when they put in their pledges for the BIP program. They're falling a little short with the Cisco 12 contract, but as you see in the Cisco 11, they were able to exceed most of those numbers, and we have seen in the past with other Cisco contracts in the past that they typically exceed. So Murray Company does do heavy outreach to minority business enterprises, women business enterprises, small business enterprises, and have been successful in the past. But on this contract, there tended to be some more specialty subcontracting work, so they did fall short. But hopefully, before the end of that contract, they do increase those percentages. And lastly, our more recent Cisco contract, which is Cisco 13, was awarded in September of 2024 for a value of $25 million. Currently, we've only expended 15.3, so there is about 9.7 million left in the contract to expend. I do want to note for the record that the anticipated utilization for the MBE, WBE, SBE, EBE, DVBE are incorrectly listed in the posted reports. And I would just want to read into the record the correct percentages. For minority business enterprises, MBEs, the total should have been 8%. It's listed as 6.5, but the correct one is 8%. The actual utilization to date for Cisco 13 is only at 2% currently. For women business enterprises, it was listed, and the anticipated total was listed at 2.6%. It really should be listed as 2%. The actual utilization is 1.7. For small business enterprises, that value should have been 20%. It is shown at 7% on the report. The actual utilization to date for SBEs is 11%. Emerging business enterprises should be 8%. It is listed as 6.3 on the report, which is incorrect. The actual utilization is 0.3%. And then for disabled veteran business enterprises, DVBEs, it is listed at 0.3%. That should be 3%. So I just want to note for the record, those were incorrect percentages, and my apologies for that error on our part. This project is the most active, as I noted. There's still almost $10 million left to be spent on this project, so we do expect the utilization of the BIP subcontractors to increase. There are currently 17 projects in construction, and then there are several slated projects that are noted in the next 6 months that will also come forward to the board to be awarded, hopefully to the Cisco contracts. So with that, that covers my report. So happy to answer any questions you may have about that.
Thank you very much, President Pro Tem Grant.
Thank you, Ethan. I may not have understood this completely, but with respect to Cisco 11, there's some $300,000 to $400,000 left, but there are still 2 projects.
Correct.
Will there be enough money in that, or we have to come to cover those 2 projects?
So yeah, we have the values for those 2 projects already listed. So they are part of that $14.7 million already. So yeah, that $339,000 is unaccounted for. We most likely won't spend it, and we'll close the contract.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments from the commissioners? All right, seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Knight, I believe that concludes our items for today.
Yes, it does, President King.
So before we conclude, I did want to announce, or Mr. Knight, you want to recognize Sandy?
Yes, of course. Thank you, President King. Commissioners and city staff, city executive, city attorney. We have a new facilitator in training. Her name is Sandy Reyes, and we're very excited to have her sit in and learn the board facilitator process and eventually take over the reins and step up and conduct some facilitation. If you'd like to say a few words, Sandy, otherwise.
No, I'd just like to say thank you for this opportunity. And I hope I expect to do a good job.
Well, thank you, Sandy, for stepping up to help facilitate this meeting. And Mr. Knight, thank you for the training. So thank you very much. With that, our next meeting will be on Friday, February 13, 2026. February 13. Oh, that's a special meeting, yeah. But Friday, regular meeting will be on Friday, February 13, 2026 at the Van Nuys City Hall. And then later today, there's a special meeting of graduation for many of our students at 3 p.m. here at the Board of Public Works. The meeting is now adjourned at 11:14 a.m.
Yeah, two months in a row, you're right. Oh, there's a special. What's on the special?